long time. So what we are going to do is we are going to come together and we are going to say, we are done with this. We are done with them controlling everything. We are done with them taking away our lives, because that's what we really need to think about. What do you live your life for? We wake up, we go work for somebody else. We go make somebody else money. We barely have time to see our family, to see our kids. Here's what's crazy. I've got two youngins right now, a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old. If I was working for somebody else, like the majority of people are, you barely see your children. You wake up, you go take your children to somewhere else, then you go to work, and then by the time you're back making somebody else money, you're so tired that you aren't even able to raise your kids. So, and we just accept that as life. When was the last time you had breakfast with your family that wasn't on a weekend? And we just accept living for other people. We say, oh, this is the system that we're in, just deal with it. And no, because they have literally taken away the meaning of life. Because what is the point of a society? That's what we need to be asking ourselves. What is the point of a society? What's the reason we are all here? Well, the reason we are all here is to provide security to the most amount of people possible. Because think about that. Think of a country where everybody has security. Doesn't that sound nice? People aren't obsessed with only what's going on with them because they have what they need. Because if you have a bunch of people who have been able to live up to their potential through having security, through having self-respect and dignity, then when those people grow up, they're going to be thinking about others. They're going to be saying, how can I most affect the world in a positive way? Right now, we have the opposite. We have a bunch of people that have been taught that greed is good, that you should step on others for money, and the people are only there for you to take advantage of to try to make more money. Ugh. You wonder why so many of us have checked out of this system. That's the problem. Absolutely. So we got these two bad boys right here. And it's not an old one. I'm actually running a little low waiting for the next one. Because the average salary should be $92,000. So that's where this one is. So yeah, sign up, get your free stickers. Because what we need to do is we need to put truth in public. They have lied to us so long using the media, controlling the narrative. Every single movie, TV show, music, it exalts rich and making money. I mean, so many things that are backwards about our country, that basically greed is good. When the reason that we hear greed is good, because the people up top know that greed is the disease. Everything else is just a symptom. Keep it in your pocket is one way, but we've also got to realize that if greed is the disease, what fuels their greed? Our hard work, right? That's literally the facts, because greed is the problem in America. What fuels their greed? Oh shit, it's our hard work. Yeah, it's what we spend, but we wouldn't be able to spend anything if we weren't going to work and making the products, right? That's the big thing, because here's what they don't want you to know. We don't need the ultra wealthy. All that they do is pay to build the factories, and that's about it. Other than that, we show up to build the products. We truck the products across the country. We're the ones scanning the products, stocking the shelves. That's always the funniest thing, broski, because what's actually happening is that money is already in our economy. So we could have $100,000 per person, and that could be their yearly salary, every single person. And do you know what they would spend it on? Groceries, housing. They would go down to the local store and spend it on money. And you're right. Some of those people would not spend it on great things, but it would go to people who do have fiscal responsibility. And it's so insane to me that money is already there. But right now, that money is just sitting in a rich person's bank account. But you say, hey, if regular Americans had that, if they went and spent that actual money, the value of the dollar would go down? No, because actually when some people go and spend money and use it, then that's when it raises. And that is one of the last things that we should be worried about is, the value of the dollar when we've got so many issues going on. So Christmas is not canceled, but what we are doing is we are looking local. We are providing our time. We are building community instead, because isn't that what it's really all about? Because so much, like so many other things, they have taken what was a community event amongst all of us for happiness and fun and love, and they made it into a consumer event, right? How many times do we tell children, oh, Christmas isn't about the presents? Well, let's show them what it's about. Let's actually build the community that we need. How do we do that? Well, we've got a couple different ways. Right now, we've got the Couch to Community Challenge, where you can sign up. You'll get an email once or twice a week, and it will give you the challenge for that week. I believe this week it's writing a handwritten letter to somebody and sending out some postcards. And then we've also got Hey Neighbor that we are working with about turning your neighborhood into a community. So when you go sign up for the free stickers, go check the link in the bio. And as you're on the website, down you'll say take action now, and you'll be able to click on that, and you can find the link. You can download the posters that we have. You can sign up on the link for Hey Neighbor, and we also give you some other ways to push back as well. Soon we're going to be holding workshops as well, so that during the weekdays we will be here doing lives, and on the weekends we will be holding workshops to really make all this stuff real, have people working in their area. Because here's the thing, right now, imagine if we had 1,000 people writing letters to their editor every single week. What if we had 1,000 people showing up to their Chamber of Commerce, reading the same information, the same information to their city council, to their Chamber of Commerce? Well, that's exactly what we are building, Ray, is we are making a community. So what we are going to be working towards is not only holding these lives, but also having these workshops where we are able to, number one, find state by state. So I will check to find. I don't think I saw it recently. I had definitely checked. So my apologies for that. We're going to be holding workshops to show people how to push back, how to speak out. We've got posters that you're able to download and send online. And basically, this next phase, we all need to be speaking out. That all of us need to learn to say this message, because it's the same thing where why are there so many successful companies, but not a lot of successful employees? Why is it that CEO pay has gone up so much? So if you are disabled, retired, the best thing that you can do is look at your local civic government. So that would be number one, finding out who is on the city council, finding out about the local Chamber of Commerce. And one of the best things you can do is send in letters to the editor for your local newspaper. These are the exact kinds of things that we are going to be holding workshops about, because we need everybody doing this, where it's so cool. Where right now we probably got 10, 20, 30 people across the country doing this. Imagine when we get 30,000, when we get 40,000, and we're all using the same language. We're all using the same talking points, because the shared language and shared acts, that's what equals shared power, y'all. It's all of us coming together, getting on the same page, recognizing the issue, and reorganizing our life around that. And then not only that, but recruiting others. So the first thing you can do if you want to get involved is go sign up for the free stickers, because what has happened most of all is they have lied to us. They have peppered us with lies for generations. So we are going to push back with the truth, because that is what is going to win. Because every single one of you, somebody just said it, that I want to be involved. Well, you know what happened to that person? They heard the truth. That made them say, shit, I'm going to do something about it. And it sparked something inside of them. Well, if you go and put the truth up in public, somebody else is going to see the truth that you put out. That same truth is going to spark that same fire inside of them. And they're going to say, shit, I want to do something too. So that's why it starts with the free stickers, because we all feel this deep down, right? Something's been broken for a long time. But they lie to us so much. And the lies that they told us have just a sliver of truth. Absolutely. We are working with Indivisible. I am very in touch with my local area. And I know that Isaiah is in touch with the national chapters as well, too. So, Christy, I love it. People say to me all the time, why are you so frustrated? And I'm like, because they stole our lives. Because here's why I'm frustrated, because all my life I've been driving to and from work. Never once have I been compensated for my own time driving to and from work. They ratchet up the pressure on us year after year, decade after decade. And what they do is they normalize it. All of us that are my age, that are 40 and under, our whole life we've been smelling something fishy. Because we go, wait, you all normalize not spending time with your family? That doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you want to spend time with your family? You normalize having the business's needs over your needs. But aren't we working so that you can have housing, so that you can have food? And here's the most diabolical thing. Let's think about this. Let's talk about economic slavery versus slavery. Because in economic slavery, what we are in is we are paid for our time and are paid for our time. We trade our time for resources. We trade our life for resources. And if that time that we trade, that life that we trade only covers the bare necessities, not even minimum wage, like triple minimum wage is still a joke. Because even then, if your resources that you gain by trading your life for money is only enough to provide for the basics of food, housing, and healthcare, then it is no different than regular slavery, where the owner was the one, providing food, housing, and healthcare. It's the only difference is those slaves couldn't choose who they worked for. What the big difference is, we can choose which owner we work for, but none of those owners will actually pay us enough to live, because living isn't just barely being able to afford food. Living isn't just barely being able to afford housing. Living isn't having to put off the doctor, having to put off the dentist because you don't have the freaking money for it, living in pain. Living is walking down the street and knowing that shit's okay, of having 30, 40, 50 grand in the bank account. So no matter, even if you get in a crash, I'll be all right tomorrow. Even if you break a bone, where medical debt is the #1 reason for bankruptcy in this country. It's security. And the only way you can achieve security is through prosperity. Why do you think then that there are so many successful companies, but not a lot of successful employees? Because they realize that if they took away our security, if they took away our prosperity, we would have no choices. Think of it this way. With freedom, right? Freedom. We all love freedom. How do you get freedom? It's by having the ability to choose. Or what's the ability to choose? The ability to say no. And if you don't have the ability to say no to your boss, if you don't have the ability to say no to the lowest priced product, if you don't have the freedom to choose, then you are not free. So many of us don't have the freedom to choose because the resources that they give us in return for our time and our life isn't enough to choose. So that's where that I absolutely love that, Shelby, because that is the kind of stuff that we are showing others that, hey, sign up on this. So we've got the wall of stolen wages. The wall of stolen wages highlights that exact information, because we create content out of it, because we put it completely anonymously. We have somebody read it on the black screen or whatever. And the CEO of the company I work with makes 345% more than their employees, $85 a minute. And what you can figure out is that the value that the $16 an hour person brings is probably almost commensurate with that CEO, because the CEO relies on the $16 an hour employee. I have 30 employees. I love every single one of them because I rely on them to make money. When they go to work, they are making me money. And the deal with the freaking job is that if you go to work and make somebody else money, then the social contract is that they pay you enough to live, not to barely scrape by, not to only save $200 a month, to live. How would you define living? I define living waking up and seeing my effing family for a little while each morning. I define living as getting off of work while places of business are still open so I can get done what I need to. I define living as having enough money so that medical debt isn't the number one reason for bankruptcy in this country. And that's what we need to understand, is I think that we've normalized this suffering so much that it's like we don't feel like we deserve what the wealthy have, and that's to live. Every single person should have like 40 or 50 grand in their bank account. That's what security feels like, because then you're not afraid. Yeah, that's when people say, oh, go start a business. Oh, go get new skills. Oh, just move. People could if they had money in their bank account, and they would. So that like social mobility is good for everyone as a country. That's what this is about. We have to show people why we are in a society, because that's what we've forgotten. That's what they've gotten rid of with the lack of education, with the media pushing lies down our throat. What they've said is that greed is good. You're only here in this world to watch out for you. And what's insane is that our system protects itself. That's what's so crazy, is because we're all products of a society. We're all products of a society. No matter what billionaire, they didn't invent the underlying technology. Bill Gates didn't invent the computer. Elon Musk didn't invent the car. Ellison didn't invent cloud-based storage, or basically the internet. That's what all of this happened, is that technology came along, we got more productive. These billionaires added one little thing in a long line of technological and societal innovations. And then we as a society over-reward the people at the top, and we over-judge the people at the bottom. Because the same thing that I was saying, why is zip code the biggest determinant of how you end up in this country? That's because there's no social mobility. That's because if you are born in a zip code that has bad schools, bad economic conditions, and you can't escape it, then you are destined to live with the consequences of growing up in a zip code that you didn't choose to live in. I mean, I lived in Baltimore City for decades. And that's what I always say is, how can you expect a child to understand life or the value of life when everything around them from the beginning has said, we don't care about you? And that is what happens, is after time, it is we have the haves and the have-nots. I mean, goddamn, in a country that started with slavery, it is absolutely insane that people bury their head and say, nope, that's not a factor. Whereas obviously, if you are born to someone with money versus born to someone with not money, it's going to affect you. So let's look back over the last 150 years and figure out where some of that money came from. What I try to explain the most is that every one of me and my family and my friends, all of their familial wealth comes from home ownership. Most of that wealth from the home ownership came right after World War II. Well, only white people were allowed to get the benefits of the GI Bill that allowed them to buy these damn houses. And if we don't look at the historical context, that all of us are a product of our society. Yes, you can change it, you can nudge it, you can fix it a little bit. But if we have such a rigid caste system in this country that your zip code is the largest determinant of how you will end up financially, then something is wrong. Well, what is wrong is that the ultra wealthy took control of all the levers of power. They own the economy, they've taken over the political process, and they own the media. So what are we going to do about it? The plan is to break the silence, because once we break the silence, we will break the fear. To put in another way, it's like there's a big dam and there's a little crack in the dam, and all of us here, we can see that crack in the dam, and we can envision it one day if that crack opens up and the water comes flowing through, but we know it's not ready yet. So what we need to do is we need to go get our little chisel, we need to go get our little hammer, and we need to start working on opening up this crack in the dam. How do we open up the crack in the dam? Speaking the truth. That's it. Not the billionaires, they're the hoarders. It's not left versus right, it's up versus down. And greed is the problem in America. Everything else is just a symptom. And until we realize that, until we recognize that, we are never going to be able to get on the same page, because they are spending so much money dividing us.